The stream is about to begin.
All right, my Write It Ivy Right friends, I got a fun one for us today. When I introduce the logical fallacies to my students, I like for them to create meaning with it instead of just me lecturing. So what I have is kind of a quasi role-playing exercise in which they can grapple and tussle with some of the key concepts of the logical fallacies. So if that intrigues you and you want to learn more, I'll roll film and show you this exercise from top to bottom. Stay tuned. All right, my Write It Ivy Right friends. So let's talk about the setup and rules for this top hat logical fallacy exercise. So here's what I do. I place two hats in the center of the room. And I actually have magic hats from when my kids were little. My son wanted to be a magician when he was younger. So I have top hats. You can use buckets. You could use jars. You could use baseball caps. It doesn't matter. So a couple of vessels is what you're going to need. You're going to fill one hat with rhetorical situations. In a second, I'm going to show you 10 rhetorical situations that I wrote that kids are going to need to role play through using the next hat, which is going to be filled with some of the seminal logical fallacies that I teach my students. So there's like 20 logical fallacies that are pretty frequent and come up, sort of the heavy hitters. And then I want to split the class up into like teams of 3 or 4. So I'll give you an example of how this would work. So my directions there say students act the rhetorical situation while employing the logical fallacy. So I'll just kind of tease it now, and then I'll give you some examples when we look at the rhetorical situations and the logical fallacies. So let's say one team comes up, one person from that team, and they pull rhetorical situation number 8 from the first hat, and then they pull non sequitur from the second hat. What they're going to need to do is manipulate the non sequitur for that particular rhetorical situation. So you can do this many ways. So I tend to have classes of about 24, 25, 26. And what I could do is have one team pull out the rhetorical situation, and then all the other teams pull logical fallacies, and then they have to manipulate or employ that logical fallacy. That way you see the rhetorical situation played out over the entire classroom. I think that's probably what I'm going to do. It'll be slow. It's going to take some time, but I think it's worthy to do because we talk about the logical fallacies a lot when we do rhetorical analysis. Found this really cool graphic, and it was sort of the impetus for this brainchild that I'm running here. It says scientists have discovered that it takes approximately 400 repetitions to create a new synapse in the brain, unless it's done in play, which in case it only takes 10 to 20 repetitions. So I've taught AP language for the better part of 20 years. And I found early in my career, I was way too pedantic, way too serious. Like, this is college board, this is AP language, we must be very serious. And I have found the more playful that I am, and the more engaging I am with my lesson plans, my scores actually improve each and every subsequent year. So I'm going to do a lot of play early on in the year to teach some of these key concepts instead of me just lecturing or doing handouts, traditional pedagogical stuff. So I have 10 rhetorical situations. I'll show you them all, and then I'll show you the separate hat for the particular logical fallacies that we're going to tussle with. So rhetorical situation number 1 says, long at last, after days and months of grueling preparation, you've made the varsity sports team, but your coach has yet to get you off the bench. From your perspective, you're the best player on the team. Convince your coach to play you. All right. So what they will do is go to the second hat, and let's say they pull out red herring or straw man or something like that. And when they verbally joust the coach, they have to house it in that logical fallacy. That's ultimately what we're doing here. I hope that makes sense. So let's take a look at number 2. Given your age, you have yet to work a real job. During your interview for your dream high school job, the manager of the establishment continually underscores your inexperience. When asked about this absence on your resume, you employ the following logical fallacy. So they go to the second hat. Whatever they pull, that's what they have to use linguistically, rhetorically during the job interview. Pretty cool. I like this. It's going to be a lot of fun. Number 3, congratulations, you just passed your driver's test. Knowing that your mom will be reluctant to surrender her car keys to you for the evening, employ the following logical fallacy. So they read the rhetorical situation and then they go to the hat. So I think what I'm going to do, as I said earlier, is, the class is split into teams of 3 and 4. The one team pulls this particular rhetorical situation, number 3, and then I would have the other teams go and pull a logical fallacy. That way we can see this rhetorical situation play out over a number of different logical fallacies. Here is number 4. Having just passed your driver's test a few weeks ago, you get pulled over for going 52 miles per hour in a 30 mile per hour zone. Talk your way out of getting a ticket by manipulating the following logical fallacy with the police officer. So all the rhetorical situations are housed in teenage experiences. So I'm not asking them to go too far out of range. These are all like real life things that make sense to them and are concrete enough to them to role play. Here's number 5. In spite of studying your guts out, you only earned a 72 on your chemistry final. Knowing that this will invariably hurt your chances of getting into your top choice college, appeal to your teacher while manipulating the following logical fallacy. So again, always after the rhetorical situations presented to class, like I project them on the overhead so that everyone can see it. They go to the second hat and pull the logical fallacy out and have to act it out accordingly. Number 6. You've been grounded for bringing home a lousy report card, which means you can't go to the prom. Convince your mom and dad to reverse their decision while employing the following logical fallacy. So again, all rooted in the kids' lives. These are user-friendly. Number 7, your significant other wants to do date night at the Olive Garden, but you think their menu tastes like nursing home food. Not wanting to upset him, given that they are being so generous, convince them to go someplace else while manipulating the following logical fallacy. Right? All really good situations here that I think students have enough background experience to be successful with this. Here's number 8. You're at a movie, but you forgot your wallet, therefore can't get anything at the concession stand. Convince your very selfish, self-centered sibling to get you a box of popcorn and a soda while manipulating the following logical fallacy. And moving on to our last 2 here, number 9 and number 10. Number 9 says, your parents hate one thing about your hometown, the keeping up with the Joneses mentality. And yet you really want a pair of sneakers that all the other kids have. Convince your parents to get you them while manipulating the following logical fallacy. And the last one, number 10, says this. There's nothing more you hate than having to do gym class in the swimming pool. Get yourself out of the lesson while manipulating the following logical fallacy. So those are all the rhetorical situations that I came up with. Let me give you a sneak peek at the logical fallacies that are going to go into the hat. So the first one is ad hominem. I have appeal to authority. I have appeal to fear, appeal to pity, begging the question. So you can see these are a lot of the high flyers that we typically teach. Disinformation. I have false dilemma. And I have false analogy. The next one's hasty generalization. And going forward, ignoring the evidence and loaded label. I got a few more here. Non sequitur, like that's an absolute. You got to teach that one. Poisoning the well is one that I really like, and I know that teachers often don't teach that, and it's a good one. Post hoc ergo propter hoc. Red herring, another one of those must, right? It's a high flyer. Shifting the burden of proof. And I got just a few more here. Slippery slope. Again, that's one that you kind of got to do. Spin. And the last one, another high flyer, straw man. So if you want these slides just as you see them, feel free to drop me an email at writeitivyright@gmail.com. I'll send them to you for absolutely free, no gimmicks, no strings attached. So my YouTube channel is too new to post hyperlinks, so otherwise I would just post it there, but it looks like you need a certain number of subscribers before that feature becomes available. Note that I have a web page with tons of material for students and teachers. I've been focusing a lot on college personal statements. So if students want a little help with that, my YouTube channel, Write It Ivy Write, has a glut of stuff for college personal statement. I know that season's coming up, but I also on my webpage have a lot of free content as well, writeitivyright.com. So hopefully you found that to be something enticing, fun, and engaging for your students to use for introduction to logical fallacies. All right, be well for now.